Is it just me, or did this EP cover art look exactly like Venom? Like, I swear to God, without my brightness on, just looking at it from afar a little bit, I thought for the first handful of times this was Venom and he had a copyright lawsuit on his hands. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the music on the channel. I hope you all are having a wonderful day so far, and today we're going to be talking about the latest EP from Russ called CHOMP. Hey, did you guys know that Russ produces all of his music by himself? He also isn't owned by anybody, and he owns his masters. He's an independent artist. Did you guys know all this?
Ha! Yeah! I kill me!
Of course, I kid. I only make this joke because Russ makes it a constant reminder in his music to let you know that he is independent. The rapper raised in Georgia makes it known on almost every single one of his tracks that he runs his own shit and does his own shit independently, so much so that it's almost his Achilles heel. He really broke out onto the scene in 2017 with his project There's Really a Wolf, and since then has dropped multiple projects like Zoo and Shake the Snow Globe that were fine, but never really interested me enough to give him a full listen. And if this was just another one of Russ's albums, I'd be smart enough not to even touch this thing and not get torn apart by his fan base. And while I don't consider myself that intelligent anyways, this project did seem to be a little bit different. Not only was the EP's cover art and title alluding to the fact that he was going to be flexing his rapping skills, but it also has features from the likes of King Crook and Busta Rhymes, Benny the Butcher, Black Thought, all people who have been known to chop it up. And after myself listening to the Absol track that was released ahead of time of this project and being thoroughly impressed by it, I decided that yeah, I have to give this thing a listen. If not out of just morbid curiosity. The way I go about my EP reviews is going track by track, listening to them, and then giving you my live reactions to them, considering the fact that I would just be going through track by track anyways. And I'm gonna listen to that Absol track again just to make sure I have my clear thoughts about it. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's give this EP CHOMP by Russ a listen, starting with track 1 called Stockholm Syndrome. Russ, baby. Russ, this is all we wanted your whole career. We knew you could chop it up, but you were dumbing down your style, constantly talking about how you could run your shit and you always made your production kind of basic. Dude, this is all we wanted from you. Him and Crooked, oh, baby, we're in for it with this project. What was that Crooked line? I gotta find it. Oh, here we are. Sipping some Crip Cola, right where Killer Mike is, leaving the mic lifeless. That's what Killin' Mike says. Hail to the lyricist. We're gonna be from the Genesis. Holy shit. This is what I love. I love hearing rappers care so much about their craft and just hitting those syllables just effortlessly, so slickly delivering their lines. Not in Eminem's case either, where he's trying to shoehorn in these somewhat corny punchlines. They're just talking their shit and just making it sound dope as hell. I love the production here. They're rapping over these muffled strings that also sound a little vintage. I like how Russ's verse talks about he is the boss of his own label, but King Crooked also gets into how some artists are getting hoed down on their labels that they're on right now, so it offers a different perspective to that idea. And it's not like Russ is getting into so much detail about it that it's overbearing and annoying either. Their flows and wordplay, both of them on this track, is impeccable. Russ talking that bougie talk, talking about he ain't gonna hit that coochie if she drinks the Sani. And yeah, just a really good track. I love the charisma and energy they both bring to the track. I was up out of my seat just like, hell yeah, get it. And man, I'm just excited for the rest of this EP, so let's keep going. The next track is Who Wants What with Absol. I did hear this one, but I'm going to listen to it again just to finalize my thoughts on it. Absol, where's the album, man? Absol, where's the album, man? How can you spit hot lava like that and not give us a we know how long we've been waiting for that project, dude. Oh, he's just toying with us at this point. Good God. Yeah, I mean, this track is just as good as I remember it was. The combination of the string sections, the simple drum beat, everything comes together so beautifully just for a nice laid back track. Once again, Russ and Absol just talking their shit, but it's the punchlines. It's the punchlines because none of them sound forced and it's just like right off the dome. Russ talking about how if you don't feed your wolves, they're gonna turn on you, or how he combines the mentality of Kobe and Nipsey. And what quotable do you want from Absol's verse? Because every single line is a quotable. Every single line is a dope-ass punchline, if not sometimes building off of the previous punchline. Their charisma and cadence sounds like it's just absolutely effortless. Like this is just who these people are and they're not scared to just get in your face about it. It's one of those rap songs you hear but you can't help but say much else other than, yeah, they killed that. The flow was something that wasn't as crazy for either Absol or Russ, but still it was just the control of their words and pronunciation that is just so impressive. You wouldn't think pronunciation is that big of a deal, but then you hear how they rap and it's just like, yeah, okay, I get it now. I just could not stop bobbing my head with the stank face that whole entire track. Alrighty, I think it's on to the next one, which is Inside Job with DJ Premier. Man said I'm only trying to wife you if you got a Wikipedia. Alright, Russ. Yeah, I mean, that track didn't blow me away per se, but it didn't have to. It still keeps up with the quality that this EP has been given out so far. And can we get a quick round of applause for DJ Premier? Please, man has just been in the game so long, killing it for so many decades. Like, yeah, decades. Yeah, just a little longer, a little longer. Alright, we're good, we're good. We get yet another somewhat simplistic drum beat, but the way it's looped with this horn section and flute section, it low-key reminds me of the scene from Spider-Man 3 when he's walking around town with that dark emo swagger. It just feels luxurious. It feels like Russ just put on his finest fur coat, poured a cup of his finest liquor, and is just spitting his game. See, content-wise, it's not necessarily that much different from what he would talk about on his own LPs, but it's all about how do you go about that subject matter? How are you going to talk about the subject matter so it's actually engaging to the listener and it's not boring? And the cheat sheet to that is DJ Premier. It's finally letting somebody else handle your production for once, and somebody that knows how to make a track lush and gorgeous. So when Russ is talking his shit, and even though he's talking about stuff that we've heard him say before, it sounds a little bit different, and it sounds like it's a different angle because he's now painting himself in a different setting. He's now placing himself into a different background where him bragging actually sounds like it suits the production of the track. But that's not to discredit his rapping either, because he comes through with some of the best punchlines I've heard him spit before on a solo track, and the flow just seemed extremely natural for him. He sounded like he had complete control over what he was doing on the track. It does come off a little annoying when he's talking about how the only way to success and the only reason that some artists get success is because it's an inside job due to the label, but considering I'm just a casual music listener, I'm not somebody that gets deep into the analytics of how an artist becomes popular, that could be entirely possible. I don't know that for sure. And from the amount of shady shit that I've heard about the industry from music, I wouldn't put it past music labels. That being said, I think it's time to move on to the fourth track on this EP, Line 'Em Up with Busta Rhymes. Man, I'm scared. Is Russ about to bust out some Busta Rhyme flows, like really get speedy with it? Alright, we're gonna listen and find out. Yeah, that wasn't a speedy flow track, but that was smooth as hell. Yeah, that threw me off a bit, because after the King Cooker track and after the Absol track, granted the DJ Premier track was a little slower, I thought he was gonna pick it back up and really go hard with it. It was a lot more of a track where both Busta and Russ were talking about things they've learned over time with being in the game. Russ having a lot more of a focus on the friends that he surrounds himself with and the ones that are just kind of using him for the success that he's earned. I really like the one line he spits where he says, if you don't heal what hurt you, you'll bleed on someone who ain't cut you. But it's really Busta that steals the show, not because he comes out guns a-blazing, but because he comes in, smacks hard down on the track, and then gets into detail about him in his youth and how his mom used to think he was this corrupt creature that didn't recognize him at the dinner table, and how that inspired him to be the best person he can be and show his mom that the goodness that you implanted in me, it's going to grow into a respectful man. Even though he does spit a bar about doing cocaine, even though he adds occasionally to the end of it, just be careful, Busta, we want you around for a while. This was probably my least favorite track, though. I wasn't the biggest fan of the shimmering shooting star sound effect that's pretty common. The hook as well, this is the first song that incorporates a chorus, then it's a little droning. Russ doesn't give the best performance, but despite these flaws and it being my least favorite track, it doesn't make this track bad by any means. Like I said, both Russ and Busta get really detailed with their verses and getting into their personal life, and I respect that. Most people are gonna put Busta Rhymes on a song just to chop it up, like, hey, Busta Rhymes, I'll pay you just to rap really fast and make the song sound cool. But instead, Russ was like, hey, I just want you to talk your real life shit. I want you to say it how it is in your life, and that's exactly what he did, and that's why I enjoy the track. And I think that's all I gotta say about it. Also, partly because the next track is with Benny the Butcher and Black Thought, and I am on the edge of my seat to hear how that sounds. Assuming it's following the pattern of the project, maybe this is also going to be a laid-back track. I could see Black Thought and Benny fitting perfect into a more chill track pocket, but I don't know. We'll see. This is track 5, the last track on the EP, Momentum. Jesus, how long was Benny gonna rap on that? Yeah, I see why it's longer than 6.5 minutes. That was primarily his fault. God damn. Whew, man, that was nice. That was a really nice track. Like I speculated, it is very laid back like the previous couple of tracks. It follows suit in that order. The beginning tracks are a lot more hype, and then we get the more slower, laid back flows towards the end of the project. Legendary producer Ninth Wonder comes through to give a pretty good beat with these high-pitched backing vocals and piano chords, which isn't necessarily an amazing beat, but it gives each rapper the room to just talk and say the things they want to say. And again, it's an example where he could have just had each of these rappers on here and he could have just said, okay, just rap extremely well, go crazy on this beat, and then I'll call it a day. But instead, he asked them to stay on topic a little bit, talking about their come up and how if they sold themselves out to labels, they wouldn't be the person they are today. You have the angle of Russ, who's about mid-tier in the game, you have the angle of Benny, who's just been recently making it, and you have the angle of Black Thought, who's been obviously making it for a long time now. And to build off of this, these are people from all different walks of life. You have Benny, who actually had to sell drugs to get to the point where he is now. He had to hustle before he could start rapping and grind with that. And you have somebody like Russ who can build off of that because he's also working as an independent artist, and you have somebody like Black Thought who's been rapping since the 90s, so he's seen a lot of his peers kind of wither away and get sold out by labels. I think I gotta say Benny's verse is my favorite though. I just love the amount of detail that he gets into, painting vivid pictures about how he had to sell his own t-shirts and pack up his own merch. So by the time he tells you that he's made it to where he is now and he's proud of it, you feel proud for him. I think this was a great way to close out the EP because he could have easily just made this whole EP, like I said, just him spitting a bunch of hard shit with a bunch of other rappers that know how to spit well. But instead, he starts out doing that with the King Crooked track, the Absol track, and a little bit by himself on the DJ Premier beat. But he's self-aware enough to know that it'd be kind of a one-note project if that's all he did for every single track on here. So in conclusion, to wrap everything up, I really am impressed with this EP, in all honesty. I can't even say it was just because of the features, because Russ, even when he was being solo, like on the DJ Premier beat, he was still kind of killing it. I mean, yeah, he's not varying his content as opposed to what he would talk about on his other projects, but the way he's going about it with a lot better flows, a lot better punchlines, and he's not being in your face and kind of being an annoying dick about it. Going outside of his comfort zone, not just with the features, but with the production as well, not producing his shit and letting other producers handle it, worked to his benefit extremely well. Because for once, finally we're getting a Russ that sounds like he's different from the other Russes. Every single project by Russ sounded like he was just recreating the same art over and over and over again. This finally sounds like he's doing something different. By having other producers on here, he's not picking the pockets that he wants to find by himself. He's challenging himself in a way by doing that. And challenging himself by having other stellar MCs on here to make sure that he's rapping just as well. I'm just impressed. Like, I have never honestly fully enjoyed a Russ project, and yes, this is only an EP, but even then, I'm surprised I liked this from start to finish. I was expecting a few bangers, but like honestly, I was expecting a few tracks to be duds as well, and that didn't happen. I enjoyed every single one of these tracks. I don't know if this is something Russ is going to continue doing into his career, but I sincerely hope he does because this is great. It's nothing mind-blowing, but that's never what we wanted from a Russ project. We just wanted him to use his talents and use them well, and he never was utilizing it to his full capabilities. But here, I think he did exactly that. And yeah, I think that's all I got for you guys. Considering that this is an EP review, I'm not going to rank this out of his other EPs. I'm not even sure if he has any, but regardless, I am just going to say that I would strongly recommend this EP. If you're a Russ fan, then yeah, you're gonna love this. And if you don't like Russ, I would still say check this out because he's doing a lot better than he usually does. I'm gonna be looking out for what he releases in the future, especially after a project like this, but that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for watching all the way into the end. If you made it all the way into the end, you know I truly appreciate that. Just remember, this is my opinion. If you didn't like this EP, let me know in the comments section, or you can let me know on Instagram and Twitter, links in the description, and we can talk about it there. If you want to leave a like or subscribe, I would appreciate that as well, and I'll see you in the next one.
I'm not talking to you. What? I've never talked to y'all. Y'all so obsessed with me, I've never even talked to y'all bitches. You know what I'm saying?